listeners, and welcome to Cabernet Chronicles with me, Aimee Lynn. And today I have Jet Breed Love and Mallory, and I'm going to tell you guys all about my next door neighbor whom survived a serial killer. The reason why I'm telling this story is because I have a murder sense, and it saved me a lot. And it's because of her, really, that I have this murder sense. Now,
Was that it? Was that the murder sense?
all right, sit back. You viewers and listeners, relax. Maybe laugh a little. Maybe feel slightly awkward that I'm telling you guys these things and laughing about it. But don't worry, it's part of therapy. Don't you worry.
It's a trauma response.
It's a trauma response. Okay. So my old next door neighbor. Oh, I want to preface this by saying I am not going to say my old next door neighbor's name because she is actually a pretty famous person within the true crime community. And the reason why I'm not saying her name is because this isn't her I Survived episode. This isn't her interviews. This is me as a young child remembering her and telling the story of whom I knew as a child and then what I then learned about what she went through when I got older. And so I feel like it's a little too personal to say her name completely, but she is a person within the true crime community. And honestly, like, it's easy to know who I'm talking about if you know true crime at all. But this is the story of my next door neighbor and how she helped a young girl develop a murder sense that then protected her throughout her life. Setting the scene. I'm about 5 or 6. My next door neighbor that lived next door to me, obviously, fuck.
She's setting up the scene.
I know, I'm setting the scene. Literally, the house is a clone of my house. So both of them are split level houses. So the kitchen is on the second level. And this is important for later in the story. So I played with her sons and I hung out there all the time. The thing about my neighbor, though, that was absolutely fascinating to me was that she was a double amputee. And she had these awesome prosthetics that were claws. And I, being 5, was absolutely fucking fascinated. Absolutely fascinated. I would ask my mom, how do they work? How do they know to open when she wants them to open? How do they work? And of course, she encouraged me to ask those questions. And so I would. And then one day to my mom, I was like, what happened to her arms? But my mom immediately, you do not ask her that question at all. You are forbidden from asking that question.
Why not?
Well, it's kind of rude to ask someone what happened to their arms, right?
Well, I feel with kids, I feel like it's so. They're probably one of the few like groups of people where it's okay to like openly ask about something like that.
True. I think my mom knew that something bad had happened. So that's why she was like, you do not ask her that question ever. And I, being the good little girl that I was like, okay, I won't ask that question. So instead, I was over at her house and we were upstairs in the kitchen, dining room area. And she is making chocolate chip cookies, but she's kneading it with her arms. And I was like, that's so fucking cool. And so, of course, I'm asking, like, how does that feel? And I remembered that my mom told me, forbade me from ever asking her what happened to her arms. So instead, I asked, why don't you have any hands?
Found the loophole.
Found a
Smart.
loophole.
As children do.
You know, the tact that I had back then was obviously on par, right? Why don't you have any hands? As someone should ask someone else. It's like asking, like, why don't you have, you know, brown hair? Why are you black? You know, things like that. Like, that's
kid with this woman who had and they came in and this child went, "Where are your boobies?" And I remember just being like, "Oh my god, the innocence though." So it's with a child,
the
only acceptable group.
Yes. The only acceptable group of ever being able to do that. And, instead of like being like, "Get out of my house, you nosy little shit."
As one would definitely say.
I mean, fuck you, kid. Get out of my house. She instead got very thoughtful and she looked at me and she said, "Aimee, I got hurt by someone." And I was horrified because in my innocent mind, I was like, "But you're so nice. Why would anyone want to hurt you?" And she looked at me and she said, "Aimee, there are some people in life that all they want to do is hurt other people. That's what they want to do. And unfortunately, I came across someone who just wanted to hurt me. And that's what happened." And I was like, "Oh, wow. Okay." And that was like, that's all she said to me about what happened to her arms, why she didn't have any hands. But then she got very intense and was like, You promise me right now, you will never get in a car with someone you do not know. If someone tries to take you anywhere, you yell, you scream, you say, "Leave me alone." Rah. And I was just like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "No, promise me right now, you do not get in a car with someone you do not know." I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And then she was like, "You know what? Actually, I'm gonna have it go a step further. If you just have a feeling that something's wrong, you get out of there. Doesn't matter if." And of course, being a little girl, I was like, "But that would be impolite and mean if I did stuff like that." And she said, "No, you get out of there. Doesn't matter if it makes you look crazy or weird or if you're impolite. Don't be scared to get into trouble. You yell, you scream, you get out of there. If you have that in your gut,
One more time. Yeah, there we go.
If you have that in your gut, get out of there. You promised me that." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure. I'll do that. Sounds good. Cookies?" And so she was my neighbor for a little bit longer after that. And then she literally, like, in my 5-6-year-old mind, she just disappeared. Like, I went to school, her kids didn't come to school, and then we came home and the house was empty and they were gone. And I was just like, huh. I mean, looking back as an adult, who knows? They might have told me that they were moving, and I just like, "Oh, moving? I moved too." And I just like wiggled or something and was like, "Look, I moved too," because I had no idea what moving was. And then they were just gone. So then I was like, "Oh, okay." And of course, like, I thought about her every once in a while and was like, "Oh, the lady with the awesome arms, but I always listened to that little feeling. I would get bad feelings and I would be like, "All right, time for me to get out of here." Definitely almost got kidnapped a couple times, but I was like, "Ooh, that car's following me. I'm gonna go run away that way and it will be fine." Definitely was like, "I don't like that person." Turned out they were a child molester. Things like that. My roommate was fucking creepy, and I was like, "Better always do the dishes." And then he went on to murder his next roommate over dishes. So yeah, I listened to that little thing inside me all the time. And what's crazy about it is I listen to a lot of murder podcasts and things like that. And one of the women is Candace DeLong, and she used to be an FBI profiler. And many people ask her all the time, "How do I protect my kids from things happening?" And she says the exact same thing that my neighbor told me, which is, if your gut tells you anything's wrong, you get out of there. It like doesn't matter if you look impolite, you yell, you scream, you tell them, "Leave me alone," blah, 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 blah. You do that. And I was like, "Oh shit, that's what my neighbor told me." So she was like telling me what FBI profilers tell children. So she was like, "I'm going to protect you." But what's crazy about her is, so again, she moved away, didn't see anything from her until freshman year of college. I am sitting there on my couch with my roommates, and I Survived came on, like that show I Survived. And I was like, oh my God, that's my old neighbor. And of course, my roommates were like, no, that's not. And I was like, no, I swear to God, I know her. She was my neighbor. And I was like, she's a double amputee. Like she has these prosthetics that look like this. And then it showed her that, and they're like, holy shit, you do know her. And I was like, yeah. So we watched this I Survive episode, and I was just like, holy shit. This woman went through it. Just some of the details that happened, basically hitchhiking, got picked up, van, couple days, thrown down a ravine. The only reason why she survived is because she crawled up herself to get help. And the thing that stuck out about that for me, though, was this motherfucker only got 15 years.
Are you serious?
He only got 15 years. He got out after 8 years for good behavior.
Was she the only victim of his?
Well, so she's she was the only victim that they knew about at the time.
Oh.
Yes. So, but also, you don't just start off by doing by cutting someone's arms off. Like, you don't just start doing that. Like, this is like definitely.
Yeah. I feel like there are steps.
You started somewhere. Yeah, you started somewhere smaller and you got to the big times doing that. But what's crazy about it is back then in California, the maximum you could get for attempted murder was 15 years. That was the maximum you could get, which
that's insane.
Is so crazy to me. So attempted murder is just a crazy charge in my mind anyways, because it's literally the government saying, hey, so you tried to kill someone, but since you're so bad at murder, you don't get as much time. Like, that would be like, okay, say if I went to a rage and I stabbed you 4 times, and then I was like, oh shit, my bad, I didn't mean to stab you 4 times. Here, let me call the cops. Let me help you survive. Yeah, okay, give me less time, because while I oopsie daisied, yeah. Yes, while I oopsie daisied, I still realized it, and then the reason why you survived was because I then helped make sure you survived. Okay, give me less time maybe. If I stabbed you, and then I took your phone, and then I left, and the only reason why you survived is because you crawled over to your neighbor's house, I shouldn't be rewarded for that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be rewarded for you having the audacity to fucking survive. Like,
that's like here, do your time and like spin and go again.
Yes.
Like type.
Exactly.
Try again. You did bad this time, but maybe you'll figure it out.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, or maybe
learn from it.
Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll do better.
You know, I mean, this was the 70s too, and it was before we realized.
70s.
I know. It was before we realized, and all the studies show that, these guys don't stop. They just get worse. So they were like, oh yeah, let the violent criminal who tried to murder someone out after 8 years on good behavior, but definitely keep that weed guy in for 20 years,
Yeah.
Definitely keep that guy in.
It's the devil's lettuce.
It is the devil's lettuce, reefer madness. Oh, so mad. Sorry.
Is that why she? Yeah. Oh, so high.
Okay, so I think the reason why then she ended up. So yeah.
Is that him getting out after like 8 years on good behavior? Is that why she left?
Close. She left because in her I Survived episode, I learned that this guy then went on to murder 2 more women in a different state in the 90s.
After he was released.
After he got out on good behavior, He then went on to murder 2 more women. And she, being the badass that she is, went and testified at his murder trial for over 8 hours, recalling all the shit that he did to her. Like, and if you've ever been on the stand, it's the fucking worst. It sucks. And so to do it again after you've already had to testify against this like monster and like see him again and know that he did that shit to more people after you, I can only imagine just how like hard that would be. But within her testimony, she straight up said, I knew he would do this again, and I told them not to ever let him out. And then they did, and now 2 women are fucking dead because you assholes didn't keep him in when he should have been in jail forever. Which I'm like, yeah, duh. Yeah, so then he got the death penalty. So, yes. But
Did you do a little
yeah, you did a little victory. I mean, it's just awful that 2 women had to like died after that. But
did he get the death penalty like he's gone now or
yeah,
he's
he's
on
dead.
death row
He's dead.
type? Okay.
He actually died of cancer, but which I hope was painful, but whatever, you know. And so, but what's crazy about her is that she worked really hard to get those laws fixed. So now in California, if you fucking try to murder someone, you don't get out on good behavior after 8 years anymore. And now they add on all the other charges too. That's why no one ever just now gets charged with murder. You get charged with murder, like torture, like all that stuff. You get charged with everything on top of it because it adds more years onto your sentence. So then you don't get out on good behavior after 8 years. Like, so many places changed that, which is good. Many places are taking crimes against women better, which is good. There's still a long way to go, but it's getting better. Now, the thing about my next door neighbor that is now just crazy to me is if I said her name right now to any true crime person, they'd be like, oh, holy shit, her? Oh my God. Holy shit, that was your neighbor? And I'd be like, yeah. Like, and I didn't realize that it was a big thing until I was listening to one of my murder podcasts. And then they told her story. And I was like, oh, wait, that's my next door neighbor. And they talk about her all the time. And they talk about how an inspiration she is. Because she's also one of the people that has said, we're not victims, we're survivors. Like that kind of stuff. And so it's just weird that that was my neighbor. And that she was like, always listen to your murder sense. Listen to it all the time, no matter what. And yeah, so that's the story about my...
I mean, I think you kept your promise.
I did keep my promise. And I have not been murdered yet. So that's good, you know. And I've gotten away from a lot of fucked up, shady shit.
Because of the murder sense.
Because of my murder sense, you know. I mean, I could have definitely gotten murdered by my roommate, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Instead, I cooked him dinner and stuff. I was like, here, have some dinner. Don't kill me. Thanks. Please don't murder me. Yeah, so moral of the story is when nosy little shits come into your home and ask you why you don't have any hands, definitely make sure to teach them about their murder sense and to make sure that they are safe. And it's also, she probably does not remember me. She probably has no idea who the fuck I am, nothing. But to me, that random Tuesday in her house was like a pivotal moment in my life. And she probably is like, what dumb little bitch? There's been dumb little bitches around me all the time. Like, so yeah, be nice to little kids and maybe help them with their murder sense.
I think one of my favorite things that they say about like, oh, what do you do in a situation like this is like, do not be polite.
Nope.
That is
Fuck
my favorite thing
politeness.
ever, because like now in the world of like TikTok and YouTube, there's a whole bunch of women who record themselves being harassed by men, and they're always super nice about trying to like turn them down. But if you don't be polite about, well, I know.
Fuck politeness. Fuck politeness.
There's the balance of like, if you're too like unhinged, honestly, the more unhinged you are, the more they'll get scared. But like, if you're too aggressive about it, they could get also more aggressive.
Yes. Well, so that FBI profiler, she has interviewed many serial killers. And one of the biggest things that the serial killers told her about the victims that they chose and stuff, and the victims they didn't choose, was the women who fought back, they usually just were like, oh, all right, and then they would walk away because that was just too much work. You are a lot of work. So, yeah. Always lock your doors. Always lock your doors.
Moral of the story, be a lot of work.
Be a lot of work.
Moral of the story, be a lot of work. Listen to that gut. Fuck politeness.
Yeah.
Absolutely fuck politeness.
Because after you told me about the murder sense thing, I had that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing of like, when I experienced it, the guy just gave me this vibe where I was just like, oh no. And then I thought for a second, I'm like, oh, this is the thing.
This is the thing.
This is the thing she told me about.
Yes.
And so I'm gonna quote New Moon here from Twilight. But like, when there's a part, and I'm sorry, viewers, but it's the thing that came to mind though with the murder sense is like when Bella saw like Edward and he's just like lie. That's what came to my mind, was lie to this guy who was asking me these questions. And it was at a store.
Yeah.
So he's the checkout person asking me these questions, and it's just like, don't tell this guy the truth. Like I had that sense of just lie.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
No one needs to know your fucking business. No one. No one on the street needs to know where you're going, if you're alone, if you live alone, even if it's your fucking Uber driver. Tell your Uber driver, I'm going to this is my boyfriend's house.
Don't tell him your age or anything, because that was the thing. How old are you?
Yep.
Oh, it's because of your hair.
Yeah.
I want to know how old you are. Like,
bitch,
stuff like that. Well, you know what?
You don't
My
get
husband's
to know.
waiting in the car.
Yeah.
And there's nobody waiting in the car for me, but I'm not alone. I want you to think I'm
exactly.
not. Like, all these things came in my head as if there was somebody else, like, say this. Don't say this.
Yep.
Get out of this situation.
Yep.
It was so crazy, the moment.
Yes.
And when I got in the car, that adrenaline, like, oh my God, where did that come from?
Always listen to your murder sense and always lock your doors.
Yes.
Always lock your doors.
For a while there, when I lived up in Seattle, like and it was like, you would hear gunshots and stuff all the time. We would lock the doors, but we also used like those glass Coke bottles. I tied strings around them and I would rig the doors. So like if anything happened, any windows, any doors, I would hear that. And like I did that for the longest time because of like how crazy it got. And, like I had that murder sense with that. But I didn't know what that was at the time.
Yeah. Well, that's your murder sense. Yeah.
I don't think, I haven't. I feel like it's show and tell.
I think so too, yes.
I haven't felt it often, but only because I am not an average size woman. It is a privilege to not be an average size woman.
You are pretty tall.
And I am also apparently intimidating. Like when I walk places, I look like I'm going to kill somebody. Like that's
that's good.
Walk.
That's how you want to walk. Yeah. That's how you want to walk, with purpose. And
I think that's the only. I don't think I've ever experienced somebody try to do anything bad to me because of it.
I'm just kidding.
I'll fight you. No, it wouldn't be fighting. It'll be wrestling. But yeah, no.
I mean, I'd pay to watch that.
I mean, I have a lot of pudding.
Jet just said she has a lot of pudding in a pool.
This took a turn.
I mean, I'm down for it. Let's just keep drinking this. Let's just keep drinking this wine. I think we can all watch, right? Isn't that what's happening right now?
Hey, there's enough wine. We'll see where
for our Patreons.
Cabernet Chronicles
That's a weird way to say OnlyFans. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, Jet and our fans only.
But anyway.
Anyway, yes.
No,
So
I've never. I'm sure actually I probably have, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Mhm.
I'm the friend that everybody runs to when they have their murder sense
Ah.
or just the uncomfortable, hey, I want this guy away from me.
Mhm.
They'll come to me if there's no other like guy friends. And I'll be like, yeah, okay, I'm average man size. I'll fuck you up. Leave my friends alone.
Yeah. I got ghetto in me. Let's do this shit. I'll fucking stab you.
Yeah, like I feel left out that I haven't had the murder sense, but that is also a privilege.
No, that's really great though.
Right?
I'm glad for you. I'm so happy that you've never almost been kidnapped.
I'm glad nobody has tried to murder me. Thought about trying
that
to
you
murder
know
me.
of.
I have the van. The back is cleared out, Aimee. You can't hear this.
All
We
right.
just, we'll see. We'll
Let's
show
fucking
her
do
what
it.
it feels like.
Let's show her. I mean,
We'll
too
nab her
bad she
and be
would
like, "We
know
told you."
exactly which one's your van.
Be like, we told you to have a sense, and you ignored it.
You ignored your
You
murder
ignored
sense,
it, so
and
we're
here
gonna
you
teach you a
are.
lesson.
Now we are kidnapping you.
Just drive her around the block a few times. You learn your lesson. I don't think
would give it away.
you.
We would totally be giggling. We'd be like,
Aimee, I mean, Barbara.
Barbara, shut up.
Shit, what was our code names?
Damn it.
Redo.
Well, fuck you then.
Fine, we're just gonna go get some pizza.
Yeah,
We'll talk this
You're
out.
a whore anyways. We didn't like you.
He's trying to change our voice.
Yeah.
I'm not Jet.
Yeah.
I'm John Cena.
I don't know who Aimee is. You can't see me. You can't see
You
me.
can't s- Oh man, I love this show.
This fucking.
We need more wine. More.
Wine boy.
Even what you're drinking, Mallory. Oh, yeah.
No, she's a white wine bitch. Yeah.
Red wine gives me heartburn.
It's okay. I get it.
Rico.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, floating arm.
For those who aren't seeing the video, we just got our wine refilled by a floating arm off of.
You gotta
Off
pay
screen.
extra for that.
Yeah, you do. You got to pay extra to get a shot of the person. Thank you.
It's our OnlyFans arm.
Now we have to make a sign. Every time it says
OnlyFans
Yeah.
arm. Oh my god. Only arms. Oh my god. My neighbor didn't have arms, and now we're talking about fucking not having arms. Oh my god, this has devolved, guys. This has devolved.
Oh no. Well, we'll cut that out. Cut that out.
All right.
But whatever.
Any other questions you guys have
Honestly,
about my old neighbor?
tied it back to the story.
We did.
So can't be exactly.
Yes.
Bad. That was art.
Yes. Yes. Oh my god. To wrap up, do you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns?
So
or
I
anything?
actually do have one because for those who don't know, like how do the hand when you were a child you asked how the hands work.
Oh,
So is it nerves with the ones with the
Okay,
hooks or like
so she actually made her own prosthetics because
Really?
she couldn't afford prosthetics because American healthcare. But she did try to explain to me how they worked, and I was like, okay, so magic. And I still believe that they were just magic because I don't know how they worked. still don't know how they worked. To me, magic.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I think
magic makes sense.
I think magic makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, she was like Mary Poppins in a way to me. Like she wasn't my nanny or anything, but she just like popped up, was like, I'm gonna teach you these things, and then just left. And I was like, oh, okay, bye. Like Mary
'Cause
Poppins
you stopped
did.
believing in magic.
Oh, and it's probably that's what it was.
No, she teaches you all that you need to know, and
Exactly.
then she leaves.
Exactly. A little guardian
Wow,
angel.
the positive and the negative.
Yeah. No, it's like a guardian angel, you know.
Yeah.
She was here when I needed her and gave me the knowledge that I needed to survive this world.
And your life that apparently people keep trying to kill you.
I mean, they haven't tried to kill me because I've always gotten away. Well, so the
that
kid
says your murder sense.
Just because you've gotten away doesn't mean that didn't almost happen.
Yeah.
There we go.
I mean, okay.
I sound like a therapist.
So to be fair, you do sound like my therapist, actually.
Hold on
she
a
was
second.
like, let's go back. You almost got kidnapped? Yeah.
It does count even though you got away.
Yes.
Saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that car could have literally just been looking for an address and slowing down because of that.
Honey,
but I was like, nope, not staying here to find out. Well, the couple of cars that did that. Oh yeah, so I was followed walking to school in middle school.
Okay, so you were almost kidnapped multiple times.
One of my friends did get kidnapped around that same time.
Are they okay?
She's alive. And then I definitely got followed to like my bus stop a couple of times in high school. And then once I started doing water polo in the morning, I didn't walk to my stuff anymore. I went to water polo first, and I got driven there. So then no more almost getting kidnapped going to my bus or school. Although I did have some guys while I was waiting for my bus be like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" Quiet on set, motherfucker.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah.
We have ADHD. We all stop doing this. That looks pleasing to do.
No, but I was at my bus stop and these guys stopped and was like, "Where are you going?" And I pulled out my little knife that I had and I was like, "To school, motherfucker, get away from me! Get away from me!" And they were like, "Oh," and I was like right across the street from a like gas station. And the security guard from the gas station came out and was like, "Hey, leave her the fuck alone!" And so he started standing outside while I waited for my bus.
That's so nice.
Yeah. So, yeah. Another time I hid in the bushes. I was like, "That motherfucker's following me. No reason for you to be out here at 6 a.m. turning around a bunch." And it's dark here in Washington during the winter at 6 a.m. So it was fucking pitch black when that was happening. So I was like, "Oh fuck!"
I had a guy do circles around
Yep.
off Aurora.
Yep.
He thought I was a lady of the night, though.
I mean,
and I didn't. I was in my. When I was working at a place.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say where,
Yeah.
but I had a very distinct
Yes.
uniform
Yes.
that was very distinct for that
Yes.
job. That was mechanic related. That's the only clue you're gonna get. So there's no way I was a lady of the night.
Yeah.
And he kept circling, and it was so dark, but it was only like 5.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I got off work at like 4:30, so it was
Mhm.
between 4:35, and they were circling
Mm-hmm.
around and around.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so confused, and I didn't have the murder sense.
Yeah.
But I remember this actual woman of the night looked over and was just like, "So are you working or like?"
And you're like, "What the fuck?"
I'm so young, and I had never met or seen a lady of the night, so I didn't know what was going on. I had just rode the bus for like the first time ever in my life, so it was a big step for me. And so I was looking, and I'm like, "This guy keeps circling." She's like, "Yeah, are you working?" And I'm like,
can I
no,
take
actually,
the John instead?
I was like, I just got off work. I was like, I was so naive and young. And she's like, well, I'm going to take him. I'm like, what's going on?
And
so
then you're like, oh.
Yeah. So I had to take like 3 buses to get to him where I was going. And I was telling them about this thing, like, oh my God, he was trying to pick you up.
Yeah.
And freaked me out now that I know that. But that's, yeah.
I'd take you home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No.
But yeah. I do have one question.
Okay, what's your question?
I think it's a good question.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you could like reunite with her,
oh,
if like, haha, see, I have good questions.
Yeah, that is a good question.
If you could reunite with her and like say anything, like what would it be? Like, what would your conversation be? Like, would you thank her?
Oh
like,
yeah,
what would it?
My
be
very
like?
first thing would be I would be like, thank you so much. Like, you are the reason that I stayed safe because you instilled in me to not be polite, to fuck politeness, to always listen to that gut feeling. And I would just thank her and I'd be like, I'm sure you don't remember me. And I mean, I would be shocked if she did remember me, but I'd be like, I'm sure you don't remember me, but thank you so much. Like, thank you. That's what I would say to her. Aww. Yeah. And with that, I say, why not thank you guys for listening and watching. And please, if you like what you hear, and we're about to go on some journeys with this, because some episodes will be like this, where I will tell a personal story. Some episodes will be absolutely, totally, and completely researched, and we're going on an adventure of learning, but maybe it's a weird learning thing.
We might even go on like little field trips.
Oh yeah, we'll go on side quests here and there too. It will happen, but yeah, remember to like and subscribe, and bye. 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 Bye.